You have made it to Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show that looks to inform, educate, and hopefully make you laugh. Stu and the Nunn is a show focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. That's right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. And thank you, live studio audience, virtually, for being there for us. And, hey, we're top notch here with the sound effects. I got more. I use them sparingly. But tonight I don't need sound effects because I got a phenomenal guest host here, Mr. Travis Wilson from Alpha Elite Performance. I couldn't even say it. I was like, Alpha Elite. I'm looking at it. Hey, Travis, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You barely got that out.
I know. I kind of paused. I had like a freaking little brain fart there. I was like, but yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. I think last time you were on here as a guest. And
yeah, I was, and it was a lot of fun. I think I must have did a really good job because you guys asked me back.
Yes, absolutely. It's a long list, man. A lot of people are fighting for that guest host job, so you worked your way right to the top.
Was I last on the list? You probably asked about 10 other people, and you're like, ask Travis, he'll do anything.
You were first. We were like, that guy escaped from the socialist state of California to the great Republic of Tejas. We've got
I did. That's the last time we talked as I was in California. And
yes, and you were like, hey, I'm moving. I'm going to get out of here. And Toby was like, get to Georgetown and all that kind of good stuff. And then, you got down there.
Oh, California. Yeah, it was I told my wife a month before we moved, I said, we're getting the hell out of here. And she was like, oh, okay. Actually, it was 2 months. And we flew out to Georgetown or to Austin and checked out Georgetown and wasn't really feeling the Austin area. It felt like I was moving to San Francisco.
Yeah, I call it the little San Francisco of Texas. That's exactly what it's like.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's being destroyed. But Georgetown was nice, but it just it wasn't really calling my name. So we hightailed it out to Montgomery, Texas area and fell in love with that community. It's extremely red. And I don't know, everybody's just so nice. Emily is not used to Texans and how nice they are. Every time she's
pulling over when you want to pass, and they pull right over on the shoulder and let you go around and wave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids are, yes ma'am, and she's like, oh, they're calling me ma'am.
Now, is she from California her whole life, or she?
No, she's not from there. She's from Colorado. Colorado Springs her whole life, and
okay.
Yeah, so I took her and moved around.
Yeah. Well, Texas, Colorado's a friendly place too, but Texas is unique in the fact that, yes, they, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and people are kind and hold the door open for you, and there's still chivalry and respect and all those good things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see you flag shop at the same place I do. I see mine back there, but I see you've.
It's I don't know where I got that. I've got so much crap from moving that needs to go somewhere, and it will as soon as we get our facility up and running.
You never know how much you have till you move, and then you're just like pulling stuff out. Like, why do we still have this? What is this doing here?
Oh, and then the amount of shit we accumulated since we moved here. We went from a small little socialist type house in California that cost me $4,500 a month to a massive house, half the price, with a pool on the lake.
Yeah, for half the price, a mansion probably compared to that.
Yeah, it's quite large. And Yeah, and so we've been having to fill a bunch of rooms and stuff and
You have
things
to go
like that. So.
buy more crap to fill it up with more stuff, furniture and all that kind of stuff.
And we have, yeah,
Yeah.
we've been hemorrhaging money since we got here. So,
Yeah. Well,
but it's been good, man. It's been great for sanity. I'll tell you
yeah.
that. Texas is awesome for sanity, and I've kind of, you know, asked my friends to come out and just to visit, just to check it out. And one guy from LA who runs a podcast, The Deviant Gentleman, he came out and visited, and he bought a house. He's moving out here. He'll be out here first of the year. So he's packing his whole podcast up, The Deviant Gentleman, out of LA and bringing it here. And his co-host is Tommy Vext from Bad Wolves, the group that redid the Cranberry song.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, absolutely. No, I mean one of it is just you hit on it, the housing, right? They see like, what can I get for this? It's like,
Yeah,
it's like, I can live like a king for, like, say, half the cost and have this gorgeous place and have space, maybe some acreage and everything else, right?
And if you're 100% disabled veteran too, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to move here, because you get 100 or you get free property tax.
Yeah.
If you're 100% disabled veteran, that's what's also really great about this state is how they treat their veterans.
Yep.
And and they go above and beyond and jump through hoops. It's been wonderful. I mean, it's been great. So
I remember California used to, you can tell me if it still did, if you had any disability rating, I thought any, or maybe it was 30 or something in California, your kids could go to any state university free. I remember it used to be that.
That is true in California, yes.
Yeah, which I was like, wow, California does that? Yeah, I mean, I'm in the socialist state of New York, which is, pretty much the California of the East, and it's the same thing, right? People are moving out of here in droves, and I mean, I just saw a report yesterday that Kimber, my favorite, I'm a Kimber guy, right? I love my Kimbers. Made in Yonkers, New York, are shutting down and moving to Troy, Alabama, which I thought, wow, great city, great name city. So they're moving their headquarters, and Kimber's been here forever, and I mean they make top quality pistols and rifles now too, and that they're going to leave some manufacturing here, but they said they're done with the SAFE Act, they're done with Como, and they're the car left here. I mean, there's a number of gun manufacturers that were in New York that have all pulling out, and Kimber's the next one. They're going south. You see people that are leaving California, right? That are, a lot of famous people have left California going to Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
And
Joe Rogan, who just moved out here, and quite a few.
Wasn't Elon Musk talking about moving out to Texas? I thought
he's moving a division out here. I think they're going to build the truck out here, I believe.
Yeah. And no, so I mean, it's there's something. I used to live in Texas when I was stationed down there at Fort Hood, and I loved it. And when I was younger, single soldier and all that, I loved Austin. I always said, I'm going to come back to Texas. I want to live in Austin, right? Because it was the party. That's
yeah.
I was in 19, 20, and it was like we were on 6th Street, and I was like, what's an awesome place. But now that I've gotten older and I realize things, I'm like, nah, I'll live anywhere but Austin in Texas. I like Fort Worth, actually. I'm a big fan of Fort Worth.
Yep, was just up there for the World Series and went to Game 5 and got to experience a little bit of Fort Worth, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. People are like, why not Dallas? And like, Dallas a little too busy. Fort Worth, you actually got some space, and it's almost like it being in a different state completely from Dallas. It is Dallas is fast, busy, kind of very. A bigger version, not as bad as Austin, but not too much. Fort Worth's a little bit more laid back. And the folks I know, good friends of Toby's and mine both that live out there, they got space, they got guns.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They use both liberally. So, so you're down there in Tejas now in the Great Republic and getting settled in, kids getting settled in. Everyone's
no, so the kids are still in California with their mom. So
they are? Oh, just you're right there right now. You're doing a geo bachelor thing, huh?
Yeah, well, no. So I'm divorced. The
okay.
kids live with their mom in California, and then Emily.
That had to be a big decision then.
It was a huge decision. It weighed on me pretty heavily there for a while, but I talked to them, and they've already been out and experienced Texas and loved it. And they went back and told their mom they want to live with their dad, and she was just like, "Ah, hell, I knew it. I knew this was going to happen." And but they have a little sister there that needs them, and so as they get older, we'll figure it out later on. But we're going to make it work. They're coming back out here in a couple weeks, and they'll be out here every month. And
good.
Yeah,
good.
And we'll go to Coronado, and it'll be nice to escape, not escape Texas, but it's a little chilly right now, and in Coronado, if you've ever been there, has perfect weather year round.
Yes.
And so we've got a lot of friends there, so we'll go there and
That's
and
San
enjoy some of that
Diego-ish
weather.
kind of weather that just never changes. It stays in the 70s
Yeah,
12 months out of the year. Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
was, I'm up here in New York and in Buffalo area, and, my company's out of Austin, and I was talking the other day, and I looked at the weather. I'm like, it's 45 there. It's 48 in Buffalo. You're colder in Austin than we are here. I'm like,
yeah.
something is backwards.
It's 2020, man. It's
That's right. That's it. When
it's just crazy.
Central Texas is colder than Buffalo, New York. But no.
Yeah.
So how's Alpha Elite Performance doing? I know you had a big sale. I even jumped on some of that. You were moving. You're like, hey, you got to get rid of some product. How are things going? What's changed with the company since we last talked to you? Anything along those lines?
We've added a sleep aid. Well, first, moving it to Texas it took some work just because we did have a lot of products. So we did have a sale and dumped a lot of stuff while adding another product which is the GBNT sleep. It's a pretty badass sleep aid that gets you to REM sleep, and that's where all your recovery and healing comes from. But as far as the business is going, I'm currently my house is packed. My garage is packed of product because the facility that we are going to be leasing isn't available until January 1st, which wasn't the case when we decided to get it the first, just to get it. But so I'm working out of my house right now, and it sucks. And there's got 4 employees, 2 of which are remote where they live because they do all our web stuff and
Right.
and emailing and all that stuff. But we're growing. It is the slow time of the year, though, because it is the fall. Not too many people work out. I think the best product we have in the wintertime, fall time, is our fat burner.
Is it really? Is it the slow time of the year?
People just, the ones who don't have the willpower to say no.
Right. Is it? I didn't realize the fall
It
was
is.
a slow
The
time
fall
of
is
the
always
year.
a slow time of the year. I mean, you got to think.
Wow.
It is only because, well, think about it. January 1st, everybody's back in that gym.
Oh, for at least a week or two.
In the fall, we've got Halloween, so we just start eating candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least a week or two.
Yeah. So candy and then
Christmas,
Thanksgiving.
These holidays just kind of fall in line with each other.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That's
So I'm guilty of it already.
I guess I mean, so summertime is always good, right? People are wanting to have a summertime body, and they're doing that, trying to get some gains and that kind of stuff. And I didn't know if the fall, if it kept up because of sports, and I mean, I don't know how much older teenagers you have buying and doing that kind of stuff, if they're trying to build body mass and that kind of thing, or if they're trying to get ready for football.
Well, teenagers, I hope none. I've never been a proponent to teenagers using supplements. Just because their body's still developing, their especially in the males, their testicles are still growing. They're not really fully developed until about the age of 23.
Yeah,
believe it or not. So, so the youngsters, I'm just like, nah, you don't need to deal with this shit. Just eat big to get big, and throw a little creatine in there every now and then.
Drink your milk like Mama tells you, and all that good stuff, and eat lots of protein, chicken and stuff. So. So the kind of slow time of the year, you got a garage full of product, so you handle all the shipping and mailing, and they send you the orders, and you're just handling all that yourself.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, just my wife and I right now. We had a gal come out who worked for us there in California. She's already come out to visit, and she'll be making her way out here as well.
She fell in love with Texas
pretty
too?
soon, so we'll have our. She did. She liked it a lot. But big plans for Alpha Elite Performance once we get into that facility. My makers have allowed me not to purchase as much as I'm supposed to purchase each time. Normally I'm supposed to buy 500 of a product at a time. They've allowed me to make smaller orders because they know I'm in this transition process into this facility in January. So all of this I could have did this the right way and took my time, but I wanted the hell out of California.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, in 2 months, I made the decision to get out of there and move to Texas. So.
Did you already register to vote in Texas? Are you going to be voting next week there in Texas, or you still stuck to vote in California?
But it's good to be here. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Or did you register to vote in Texas, or are you still?
Oh yeah, we registered to vote. We already voted. You can only imagine who I voted for. Uh, and then we got our driver's license already, and yeah, we got our tags on
Shedding
our vehicles.
California as fast as you can, right? Just do want
Yeah,
nothing to.
just bought a brand new F-250. You know.
You're fitting right in. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
The
So
good. The no, yeah, we just I voted. My wife and I voted yesterday because we're going to be out of state next week when voting happens. And so, New York this year opened up early voting. They don't do the mail. They did early voting because of the pandemic, and it worked out good. I'd rather do that than absentee.
yeah,
And so we stood in line. I think it was Saturday they opened it up. It was you could pretty much vote anywhere in the county, but they have places nearby, and it was 4.5 hour wait to vote on Saturday. So I was like, well, glad we didn't go then. And then so we went yesterday. It took about an hour and 40 minutes. Wasn't too bad. It actually, but the line was a pretty good length, but everybody's 6 feet apart, and it was moving pretty good. I mean, you took a step, you moved forward a spot, pretty much about every 45 seconds on average.
yeah,
I mean, you really
yeah,
weren't stopping, and we were just talking to people around us. I was doing calls for work and on emails on my phone, and before you knew it, you were up there and did your voting and fed it in the machine, and you knew it counted. So
yeah. Good.
it felt
That's
good to
good.
get it done. We were afraid that we'd keep holding off, and then Saturday we're scrambling trying to get it done before we leave. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. And I know what you mean when you say it felt good to get it done. It feels good to vote. I'm glad
Right.
that we live in a country where we're able to do that, and it
Yeah.
actually counts. At least I hope it counts.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I live in New York, and unless enough people get pissed off here, it's going to go. The state's going to go blue. It always does. It's a guaranteed. But
Yeah,
there's a reason why Hillary ran for senator here, because the devil himself could run here, and he's going to get in if he runs as Democrat.
right.
So, but still, it's like, hey, I'm making my voice known, and I look at the numbers at the counties when it's all said and done. I look at all the stats and see how each county voted, and kind of stuff, and but it's still, it's I tell people all the time, we, people in it, for example, Iraqis, they stood in lines too. They walked for miles through IED laden roads so they
Yeah,
could stick their finger in ink. Right, that's how
yeah,
important. And people die all over this globe for the ability, or to fight for the ability, just to be able to vote. Some of them never get the chance,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they fight
Same with
tyranny.
same within Afghanistan. They
Right.
had to hope that they weren't going to get blown up by a bomber. So it's craziness, and a lot of people take it for granted. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't vote, which blows my mind.
I think this year it's going to definitely blow the number. I mean, that was another reason I like the early voting. I think I could really see Tuesday being like it being jammed up. Like people, like the end of the day, whatever polls are going to close in those areas, right, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, that they're going to have to keep them open, because
Yeah,
the number of people, first-time registered voters, is through the roof and breaking records across the country. And these aren't like people turning 18. These are people in their 30s and 40s that have never
yeah,
voted, that are signing up to vote for the first time ever.
right, yeah,
I'm sure you've been like me. Every time I've looked at the percentage of people that vote, I'm always like, why is it 20 something, 30 something percent that the rest of the country really does? And this was even in 2016, and every election is important, but it's like, how do you not go vote? And the numbers are always dismal, and I'm like, if everyone went out and voted, this every election would have been totally probably different. In
yeah,
Australia, it's against the law not to vote. You have to vote. They can even jail you, I think, but I know they'll fine you the first couple times if you don't go vote.
yeah,
They show up at your house. They're like,
yeah,
maybe that's good or bad, right? There's some idiots out there, especially in our country, that window lickers that shouldn't be voting, but
right. Oh God, yeah,
right, but they're over
yeah,
18. But at least you did it, and in my opinion, you cannot complain and bitch if you don't. Like if you don't vote,
right,
then you don't have a leg to stand on, right?
right.
And you can't protest. You shouldn't do anything till the next time comes around.
I saw a stat that 21% of the veterans don't vote or didn't vote in the last election. 21%,
That
which
yeah,
blew my mind.
you would
Blew
think
my mind.
you would think of any demographic, if you would, or class of citizen, it would be the veteran, especially what we've been going through for the last essentially 19 years, right? Where,
Right.
where there's not peacetime veterans out there anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
They know what the what it looks like to live under tyranny or live under dictatorship and not get that ability.
What's funny is that, I voted here in Texas, obviously, and as I was leaving, I saw a truck that had Special Forces tags, and I'm a retired Green Beret
Right.
for those listening that don't know. And I saw a truck that had Special Forces decals, Green Beret, Special Forces Association. I mean, he was a proud Green Beret that put it all over. He put his ERB all over the back of his
Yeah, he
window.
did. 2-1,
So,
2-1 on the back window.
so I went looking for the guy, thinking, and well, here was the kicker: is that also in the back window was a Joe Biden, not sticker, but one of those yard signs.
Right.
And as I was walking out, I remember seeing like a hunter Green Beret shirt on a guy sitting at the Biden desk. And granted, it's Texas, it's Montgomery County, it's extremely red. So everywhere around, there's nothing but, Trump supporters and all the people running in those red seats. And then this Green Beret sitting there at the Joe Biden tent or pop-up thing or whatever it was. And, I being a Green Beret, I went over there and I introduced myself. But it was still awkward because this gentleman knew, probably just by talking to me and looking at me that, he knew who I voted for. And then I could tell you don't see too many Green Berets like that anymore.
No. You don't think he was stolen valor? You think he was legit? Long tabber?
No, he was legit. Yeah. Cause he was part of the Special Forces Association down south of Houston. But I will say that he was a nice guy, nice gentleman. He just had different beliefs, and I didn't question him on that. But we made small talk and chit chat and talked about being Green Berets, and he never ever went to war as a Green Beret. I think he said he spent his 6 years and got out, and now I think he just likes to tell everybody he's an old Green Beret from the late 70s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, he served and did his time, and if you could have a civil discussion about it. That's what the First Amendment's about, and thank God we all have the ability to vote who we want to, and that kind of stuff. And but you're right, you don't see that too often. One thing I see, Travis, I've been talking about a lot in the last couple of weeks. I've had because of the show, and I'm on I'm on air every Thursday morning with a good friend Dave Bellavia, Medal of Honor recipient, on his show, and I was on with him this morning. And we're always talking about this coming up in this election, obviously. And one thing I keep telling everybody, because they're coming to me saying, what do you think? I'm really nervous. Do you think this can happen? I just keep telling people, look at 4 years ago. This is Groundhog Day all over again. 4 years ago, the October surprises, the polls saying there's no way Hillary's got it. It was in the bag. He should just quit. You're wasting, the people on the Hillary side saying anyone that was a Trump supporter going, you're just wasting your vote. Why are you don't even show up? You're throwing your vote away. Don't have a chance. And everyone was believing those polls, right? And every poll across the country was saying one thing. And you had all these, we started hearing about the Russia stuff and all that kind of stuff. And then look what happened. Mm-hmm. And back then I was sitting there going, and I'm not any kind of Nostradamus. I'm not I'm not a pollster or anything like that. I was just looking at it from a common sense perspective. And even then I'm looking at all these thousands of people that can't even get into a Trump rally. And I'm like, look at the 100 people at a Hillary rally. And I was just like, it doesn't line. I mean, I was in two different, I was in a alternate universe. It was like, that's great. You're saying all these people are going to vote for Hillary, but I'm like, there's tens of thousands of people showing up to going out of their way and doing everything they can. Yeah. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like I'm talking two different worlds. And then of course he wins, and I go, okay, what we were seeing was truly representative of what the American people, the vote, the electorate felt. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, how many people I remember in 16 that would come up to me. Even then there was no name called cancel culture, right? But people were going, they were coming up to me, especially in Austin, coworkers. I'm like, hey, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm like, cool. Why are you whispering? And they were like, I'm not going to say anything around here, Yeah. And it was like the number of people that would never say it. They just wouldn't say it. And that cancel culture really existed. They didn't want to get harassed. They didn't want to get, people to say things to them. So they just stayed quiet and made their voice known in the voting booth. Dude, I see it again. I mean,
absolutely.
6 mile long caravans in Utah.
Yeah, well, you know how I know we are guaranteed, or Trump's guaranteed to win. I saw it today. Lil Wayne came out in support of Donald Trump. So we're shoo-in.
50 Cent did until his ex-girlfriend, shamed him into,
I know,
teaching him that he was really black or something. But no, you're right.
He said he changed his mind only because he wanted to get that ass again.
I don't know. I mean, it's Chelsea Handler, whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
but
No.
but you know, it just we see the same thing again, and people come
Yeah.
to me still saying, I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at 10 people in painted circles at a Biden rally, or better yet, in Phoenix, the first one after the VP debate. Kamala and Biden were there, and nobody showed up but the press.
Yeah.
And then you look at Trump doing 2, 3 a day, and people waiting in line for hours, 4-mile long lines, standing in line for 4 miles just to get in to see him and hear him talk. Which, if you watch him, he pretty much goes through the same stuff at each one. He spins it up. He kind of, you can tell he's going off the heart. He kind of adds more into it. But, you know, you could watch him and know what he's going to say. People still stand in line for hours to watch him. I was like, if that's a sign, those polls can say whatever they want. Everything to me is pointing that he is going to win, and may damn well win by a landslide. It may very well be a landslide.
You know, I actually had the honor of, spending half of a day or 3/4 of a day with Donald Trump in 2016 in Pueblo, Colorado. Mark Geist from Benghazi in the movie 13 Hours, he had hit me up and said, hey man, I want to introduce you to the president, blah, blah, blah. So we went down there and had special pass and all that. And I just stayed in the back room with Donald Trump and Secret Service and his people. And he is absolutely completely different when he is not in front of a camera at a rally. He goes to the rallies. I do believe that he knows that he's on television, and it's, he's, a TV guy and all that. And he knows how to light a crowd. He can read a room. Mm-hmm. And he knows who is there and what they want to hear. When we were in the back room with him, he was extremely presidential, very CEO, business, all the way, very polite, asked more about what I did as a soldier, as a Green Beret, my family, that sort of thing, and was generally interested in it. And then made time to go do this, newspaper interview, and then came back and sat down next to me and we just shot the shit some more until, he had to go out on the stage. But now I expected that same Donald Trump that was talking to me to be the same one on stage, but then all hell, how he does when he
turns it on.
He turns it on, and the crowd went crazy for him. And I was just like, holy crap, is that the same guy I was just talking to? And,
I know I'm lucky enough to know enough people around his circles and pretty close to him. And, when I was at the White House last year, when Dave was, received the Medal of Honor, I was in the room with him and we had some things. We were supposed to have a private meeting with him. I was one of the ones Dave asked to do that, and some stuff happened. They had to change it, but I was around him enough, and I know enough other people that have been around him and interacted with him before then and since then to know that, when I see stuff about the made up, crap about that he calls, vets suckers and losers and all that stuff, I just go, and I had a lot of friends of mine, some vets, some not, that, reached out to me and said, hey, what did you think about this? Are you still a big fan of this stuff? I'm like, there's no way that didn't happen. I said, and I know that because I know enough other people by name that I respect and I trust, who are around him and have been around him, and there's no way he says that. I know the Gold Star families that he sits down with and spends, we're supposed to have 10 minutes, and he spends 2 hours and blows everything else off, and he gives them undivided attention. And enough of them have talked about it that he looks them in the eye, and he sits there and talks with them, and he listens emphatically, and he doesn't just like, hey, you got my attention and then I get rough. I'm like, that's not the same guy. And I know some of the details of private conversations he's had with vets, and then, and of course, trusted to keep that confident. And then I see him out there and I'm like, I know how that guy talks when he's with somebody one-on-one, and it's what you saw. It's a totally different person.
It was great. It was wonderful. And, all the bullshit about calling him a racist and stuff like that, I can absolutely assure you, the man is not a racist, and
I tell people he's the worst racist ever. If he's a racist, he's the worst one, because he's done everything but that. I mean, he's done for historical black college universities, Martin Luther King's home. I mean, a number of stuff. He's employed more women in his administration in senior positions too than any other president. I mean, he's just, it's like, but if you just listen to one side, or you listen to a number of sides and not really look at the facts, and you're just gonna, if you're only, it's like I tell people say, well, why do people believe that? I'm like, it's the same reason why we would say, how do the Afghans think we're going to do all these things and murder their family. Well, because they listen to those blue loudspeakers and those mullahs. They tell them over and over and over the Americans are going to do this. They have no other medium influence. They believe it. They don't know. And I'm like, and really the Afghans and the Iraqis and all the others are no different than Americans who just listen to one bullhorn on a channel, and they hear it over and over, and they read it and they hear it, and they just believe, oh, that must be gospel. That must be the truth. I'm not going to.
Case in point, obviously, CNN, MSNBC, they've continually called our president a racist, and without any proof of backing that up. And in Coronado, California, just today on national news, the city in which I moved from, and I could probably tell you who the hell is doing it, but they're going around putting at night very nicely made signs that say "racist lives here." That looks like a Donald Trump sign, like a MAGA, like Make America Great or whatever. Yeah, and they're sticking them on the lawns of people in the middle of the night, and these people are waking up to it who support Donald Trump, and it's that kind of hate that I wouldn't say it scares me, but it scares a lot of people because it's unfounded and disgusting. But man, I wish I could catch one of them son of a bitches. Jesus. Yeah,
that's why it's good to have cameras on the outside of your house. Do you think
but
that
this guy's doing his homework though? This guy's doing his homework, but because people do have cameras, and they're like, he was just outside, or whoever's doing it is just outside the cameras. So maybe they can go back and look and see who's been passing by multiple times at the houses that.
You know what I saw the other day in my neighborhood? It's the only one I've seen. Same, sign out front, like with the two lay. I mean, it looks like a for sale sign from a realtor, like straight up professional sign, black and white, all professionally done. It says Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. I'm like, who came up? Who had that made? Who spent the money? And then where do you find that? And I'm like, and then you say, I want one to put in my front yard. Like he had a Trump sign up in his window, but this is out at the edge of the street, like his house was for sale. It said Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. And I'm like, you were pretty passionate about that. Like you're not going to let that one fall off the news cycle. But I thought
we have a guy in our neighborhood who we all have really big yards in this neighborhood I live in, and he cuts Trump 2020 and dyes it red into his yard. And he decorates his trash can for every Monday and Thursday pickups with Joe and the Hoe, and he pressure washed Trump 2020 into his driveway. He's got about 50 Make America Great signs, Donald Trump signs in his front yard. He is passionate, and he just sits out there. He's obviously retired. He just sits out there waiting for somebody to say some shit to him.
Yeah, I bet he does, and I bet he has something within arm's reach too.
Oh yeah,
because it is Texas. It's amazing that passion. Right, I've seen Biden signs. I'll put it this way: I've seen more Biden signs than I ever saw Hillary signs 4 years ago. I didn't think they even made any Hillary signs. I never even saw them, but I do see Biden signs, but definitely not at the level. And in all honesty, there wasn't a ton of Trump ones 4 years ago, but there's still a silent majority. I have neighbors of mine that have them, and they show them to me in their garage. They have them in the back of their garage. They're like, they don't want to get their house egged or attacked or whatever, and they want to keep the peace. They don't want to sit there and cause an uproar. They just want to go vote and just let the chips fall where they may. And it's great. I mean, really, you put a sign out? You're just telling everyone, hey, people know where you stand. It's not like someone's going to drive down the street and go, Troy likes Trump. I guess I'll vote for Trump. I mean, their mind's made, right? But you're just you're showing your support. And but I definitely have seen more. I drove to Ohio a few weeks ago and from Buffalo, and it was just backcountry and Amish country. When you see Amish people with Trump signs, I didn't know Amish people voted. They got to ride a wagon and a horse and go to the voting place. I've never seen Amish people like anything political. I really didn't know if they even voted. Maybe it's against a religion. There's Trump signs everywhere in Amish country. And I saw Biden signs only in inner city Columbus, Georgia, downtown Columbus. It was the only time that I saw driving all the way there, driving back. But boy, there are Trump signs everywhere. And I'm like, that's Ohio, which is a key state, right? Everyone's pretty much, they talk about Ohio a lot. I'm thinking
it's a battleground state for sure.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know. We'll see.
I got family in Ohio, and they believe that Ohio is going to win by a landslide as well. And same with Pennsylvania, not a landslide, but they think Pennsylvania is going to take it as well. But because of exactly what you said, it's a silent majority that aren't going to voice their opinion. I've got friends, and I'm proud that I turned some people. When I left California, I had a guy, I'll say his name, Matt Davis, the dude, on social media said, just be happy that you were able to turn somebody. Because we used to get into arguments, about the left and the right. And then I don't know what happened. The dude saw the light, like a light switch flipped. And he was like, holy shit, you've been right all along, Travis. And now he's more arrogant about it than I am. I'm like, okay, you got to tone it down a little bit, pal. All right.
Getting Trump 2020 tattooed across his back and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I got people that, in Coronado, they're like, Travis, I agree with everything you're saying. And I wished I could say it, but I can't. And,
right.
But, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump and God forbid if I can just get the hell out of Coronado, but my business is here and blah, 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 but so.
There are people talking about that there's a chance that he may flip New York red, Wisconsin, Nevada, North Carolina. I mean, and I looked at it, I was like, wow, flipping New York red, that would be phenomenal because that's the first step in getting rid of Cuomo. But I was like, that could happen, right? Because I told you, I look at the counties, I look at the breakdown of the votes every time, and after they gather all the data, and you can take a majority of upstate New York, the counties in upstate New York, and they don't even equal up to almost one borough, right? Queens or Brooklyn or any of that stuff. Yeah. But you know what? New Yorkers are really pissed with Cuomo and de Blasio. And they tie all that together. I mean, the other day they had that. You saw in New York City, right? They had the Jews for Trump parade. Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a bad thing to call them Jews. I know when I've said it, people are like, "You should call them Jewish. Don't call them Jews." I'm like, I didn't know that was a bad thing anymore. But they called it a Jews for Trump parade, and they were not hiding it. I mean, it was right down. They were getting attacked and everything. They didn't care. And the way Cuomo and de Blasio have treated them and stuff with all this pandemic. I haven't went back and added up the numbers, but like if they flip one borough of New York City red, that could be enough to flip this state. If they flip two, it's guaranteed. If they flip Queens and Brooklyn, for example, or the Bronx, but probably would be Brooklyn, they could flip this entire state red. That would turn this country on. I mean, that would put shockwaves to the Democratic Party because this is a guaranteed blue bastion here.
Well, let's bring up a what if or a hypothetical. What if Donald Trump loses? And Mitch McConnell said today, like there's a 50-50 chance of the Senate, losing to the left, and I mean that's every damn time. It's
right.
But what if we lose the White House? What if we lose the Senate and they control the House? I don't know if we're gonna be able to take back the House this year, but I'm hoping we can. But
that's where the real it really comes down to the House and Senate. The local races,
absolutely.
The presidential race is big, right?
Yeah.
But if we could control, if we kept this, the Republicans kept the Senate and they took the House and it flipped in the House and the White House flipped to Biden. Well, here's the reality: nothing's going to happen for the next couple of years, right? They're still going to be in a standstill.
Jack and shit.
Yeah. There has to be a mandate, right? There, either side. Because look, even if Trump wins and they keep the Senate and the House stays Democratic, right? Then look how much has happened in the last 2 years. Damn near nothing but a whole bunch of investigations and crap.
Right.
So let's say the President Trump loses, Biden wins. If Biden wins and the Senate flips, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to just ride the storm out for the next couple of years. But I can't imagine it's gonna be pretty because the Democrats seem to just have a revenge that they just don't let go. They don't forgive or forget. It'd be if the Republicans win if they can flip the House and they win the White House. Just like before when George W. Bush had a mandate, he had the first 2 years where he was all Republican controlled, and they kind of pissed it away. They really didn't do much with it. They have to come in there. They have to make changes. I mean, we see on the Supreme Court changes are being made, but if they can't squander it, right? Because pretty much every 2 years they're gonna, enough people are going to screw up and they're going to convince enough of the voting public to flip it back or something. But if you get a mandate for 2 years, do something with it. Put those principles in place. Get the foundation in place, all that kind of stuff. If you don't, shame on you.
Did you see that Nancy Pelosi said they were going to try and impeach
Amy Coney Barrett?
Amy Coney Barrett, yeah.
You know what? They dropped the word impeachment like they use the word racist now, and they use it so much it has no meaning anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was talking to someone about that the other day. Toby and I talked about it. Years ago, probably you and I were younger. It was like to call someone racist was damn near like calling them Hitler. I mean, it was the worst thing you could say. It was the worst bomb you could drop. Worse than this N bomb, C bomb, any other bomb. That you just didn't say it. I mean, you could almost say you hated somebody, and your mama never wanted you to say you hated somebody, right? But you never called anyone a racist. There was nothing worse to say. Now you just wear a hat or you have a flag and you get called that. So it's diluted. And they use the word impeachment so much. Same thing. You say impeachment, right? That's the reason why it's such a big deal for Clinton, because obviously, you know, it's been so long. It's not something they wield that sword out too often.
Right.
And it's like to just say they said they were going to do that to Kavanaugh too. They were going to impeach Kavanaugh. They're going to impeach Barr. They're going to impeach, you know, just hush, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they need to take a lesson. Could Trump have jailed Hillary and went after Hillary? I guess he could have right away, but he didn't. He's like, hey, let's heal. Let's get past this, you know, things or whatever, and just lets her squawk up in upstate New York and say what she wants. But you know, it's not about holding revenge. If they win, if the Democrats win, then prove half this country wrong and do something positive with it, right?
Yeah.
Not pack the courts, not do that. Show how the Democrat platform can be better for this country than what we've had, because that's really what they should be running on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling somebody today, you want to get in an argument with me if you're a Biden supporter, it shuts everyone down. Dude, this is the guaranteed way. Just say, okay, tell me why you're voting for Biden, but don't mention Trump.
Yeah.
You can't do it. They can't do it.
Not at all.
Like, you can't mention Trump. You can't mention administration. Why would you vote for Biden? What's the reason? And it's just silence. You know, they're voting for him because he's not Trump, or because they don't like Trump. That's not the reason to vote for someone. Just like not because their skin color, not because their gender is the reason to vote for somebody.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I'm kind of eager to just get it over with. My gut tells me, actually my soul tells me that we don't have anything to worry about. But I'm just eager to get it over with, and let's just move forward and have our parade and our parties and
What do you think the fourth's going to be like? Do you think it's just going to go to hell in the handbasket? I mean, the Texas governor is deploying National Guard. You have states that are deploying. New York City's putting armed guards out. I mean,
yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the Dodgers just won the World Series, and they, went and looted in LA, over dumb shit. So, I can only imagine that when Donald Trump is elected, the left is going to just go absolutely batshit crazy. It's already been said, the Antifa and all those idiots have said that they're going to, destroy every city, go after those Trump supporters, and they're not ever going to stop. Which, in my case, bring it on, motherfucker, because I'm ready for that shit.
Yeah, it's funny because the Trump supporters are the ones that pretty much have the stockpiles of ammo. Like, let's just be honest.
Buddy, I'm not going to lie. I want a legal CONUS kill, okay? I've had my
You want to be the first kid on the block with a...
Yeah,
legal.
So
yeah.
I've got some pretty awesome toys. So, but that aside, I'm flying on the 4th. I'm headed to Boston that day, and I'm hoping that it all goes smooth. And I hope nobody's out there being idiots, but there's going to be. And calling out the National Guard, I think is a smart thing to do. Just obviously, look what's going on in Portland and
if
it
preserves life and property, yes, it absolutely should. And if
absolutely,
look, Texas is not immune. We saw that a couple years ago in Dallas. 5 officers killed and everything else, and but no, it's. What I've been looking at, my opinion is, and it's purely mine, is and nothing really based on anything but guessing, is that there won't be if Trump wins by a landslide.
Right.
If it's close and all this collusion and ballots and this kind of stuff goes back and forth and this shit gets dragged out in the courts, it's just going to be, I think it's going to be bad. And if Biden wins, like you just mentioned, LA winning the World Series, and that's why I said Biden wins is going to be riots. People are like, you think so? Do you think the Republicans will come out and riot? I'm like, no. What does everyone do when your team wins a championship? They go out and burn the freaking city down to celebrate. I'm like, and right now you have people that are going out that are protesting peacefully, and other people are hijacking those efforts to protest and steal and just cause mayhem. They don't give a damn about someone being killed by police. They're just out there. Yeah. You can see that because the people who are doing it are all mostly young 20-something white people.
Right.
They don't care about somebody getting killed, black guy getting killed by the cops.
No, not at all. And what's crazy about progressives and the leftists, I don't even like to say liberals or Democrats. I like to say the leftists. They're the biggest concern, the biggest problem. But they're going to continue to riot and do that sort of bullshit, even if Joe Biden gets elected, because he is not. He's more moderate. He isn't as left as they would like for him to be. And AOC and her little squad have already said that they are going to push and try and sway. And so I see people continuing to do more of that socialist leftist bullshit because Joe Biden isn't exactly who they want.
Yeah. I
A
mean,
lot of the
isn't it sad? They
Bernies.
think he can. This guy that's been in office for 47 years, someone like AOC hasn't been, alive that long. Thinks she's that manipulative, or he's that manipulable that they can just push him around, like
Right.
support the Green New Deal. I mean, what does that say about what they think he's capable or not capable of?
Yeah.
Or
This morning, didn't he just announce himself as his wife's name and then his wife as his name? Or it was some weird bullshit in Florida today. He said, "My name's," I thought he said Patricia, and that was his first wife, I believe.
I have to watch. If anyone knows, Tucker will know. I'll be on his show tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day he was Kamala's running mate. And,
Yep. Yeah. Which, in all actuality, I kind of feel that's true.
Well, he did call it the Harris-Biden administration a few weeks ago. I mean, it's like it's slipping out a little bit, and
maybe he gets elected and he steps down in the first month. I'm just not feeling it. I feel sick.
I said a couple weeks ago when Nancy Pelosi introduced the 25th Amendment stuff, wanting to put a committee together, everyone was like, "Oh, she's going after Trump," and I said then, "No, she's not. They're doing this for Biden.
Yeah.
They're not doing this for Trump." Trump's cabinet, everyone's not going to vote and approve him to step down by the 25th Amendment. They're getting this ready so Kamala can just step in, because they know his mind's racked full of dementia, and they're going to say he's not safe or capable of doing this, and he's going to surround himself with all those progressives, and they're just going to put a lady who came in 17th place out of the Democratic run for the primaries, who wasn't even liked by her own people in California or anybody, as the president. I really think that's what that was for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. God, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably go riot in the streets if that bitch ever became president. I mean,
yeah, I mean, so when you say what happens if Trump loses, I mean, that could be a damn near strong possibility in the next 6 months, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I wonder, and I don't want to see this because it would mean he lost, but if Trump did lose, what would he do from November 4th to January 20th? Something tells me he would just freaking clean house and wreak havoc, not give a crap,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he doesn't give a crap now. He hasn't given a crap the last 4 years, and he would just, keep pushing those charges, keep doing this, investigate Hunter. I mean, it'd be gloves off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I mean, we have been so, this show and our topics, I mean, well, in all reality, right? For the last 4 years, there's never been shortage of topics. I mean, people would ask us, what are you and Toby talking about? Like, we'll just wait till Thursday and see what happens, because it's probably going to be something news generating on that day. And sure enough,
right.
Everyone. And some people some people are saying if Biden wins, it's going to be boring again. Like, people are addicted to Trump.
Yeah.
Democrats are. They're like, they look forward to that. I mean, what's MSNBC and CNN going to talk about?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Rachel Mao might as well retire if Biden wins. Morning Joe should just move off into the sunset too.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't. They're going to praise the president all the time. I mean,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's craziness.
Well, hopefully people are, they're taking this time and taking this time of what we've seen in this pandemic to keep themselves ready and prepared, right? Something that probably when you came back from deployments and stuff, I know when I came back, people were like, you're too hypervigilant, you're too on edge. And like, hypervigilant, is that a bad thing? Yeah. And there seemed to be people were like, why do you always want to, always have a gun with you? Why do you want to do this? You should be, you're not in combat anymore. It's like, but now people are hypervigilant. Now it's considered a good trait.
Right.
Right. To be prepared, like the Boy Scouts say.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I've just always felt comfortable, having my weapon with me. And so anyway,
I fly all the time. I got millions of miles, and I'd still rather have a parachute with me, even in a Delta 757.
Right.
At least I know I can depart, and at least I get close to 130 knots. I'll try to get out, but
right.
Yeah. It's just something comfort, and same thing. Why do you need it? Why do you always want to have a gun? Why do you have a fire extinguisher? Like, I hope I never need it. But
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
but a Dodge truck could be parked next to me, and I may have to put the fire out because those things just seem to catch on fire sometimes, along with Teslas. But,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
That's awesome.
we got a few comments, and Rob, our unpaid producers, talking about your toys are legal. Good thing you're in Texas now, right? Because all those toys, you don't have to worry about modifying them or doing any of that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
I won't say what I have, but
I'm
well,
sure
no,
it's
I got
fun.
a.
I'm sure it's
I'm not
fun.
gonna. I've got a 203.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll spend some money and get some pretty badass toys. I got some things in mind that I want to purchase because I'm buying a side by side Polaris Ranger, and I want to put a Mod Deuce up top.
I was gonna
And
say, could you put a Mark 19 on an F-250? Is that a little mod done up there? A little pimp my ride on the
that would be kind of cool.
put a hatch in there.
Yeah.
The
So
Yeah, it's you're definitely down in the state for it. Even probably not too difficult to get a Class 3 license, and
yeah,
you have suppressors. You can all that stuff you couldn't have in California. All the mags you want,
yeah,
all
yeah.
that good stuff.
It's funny. I've had people from California. They're like, females. People there on the island. They're just like, hey, can you get me a gun and drive it to California for me? I'll pay you for it. And I want this. I can't get it here, and So it's pretty funny.
And you're like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to jail for you.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want that shit, go buy it in Arizona and take it back yourself. But
yeah, you deal with the crossing the border there and all that.
Yeah, it's funny.
So what do you guys? So you got coming up? You guys are moving into the new facilities, hopefully in January. Got some new product coming out. Are you doing any collaborations with anybody? Are you planning anything down there to just kind of raise visibility?
Well, November we are going to be doing GB&T, or Green Beret Nap Time Sleep Aid, which is phenomenal. It gets you to REM sleep. I think I mentioned earlier. It gets you to REM sleep, and it keeps you there. And you don't wake up groggy. But REM sleep is where all the healing and things like that happen. And a lot of special operations guys, or just military in general, or anybody, civilians, everybody's on these fucking phones and their computer, and they're just spun up when they go to bed and they can't fall asleep. First is education on how to fall asleep. But then the sleep aid will help you get to REM sleep and help you heal and recover. November with the Green Beret Foundation, because I still work with those guys, we are going to do 100% of the profits that we sell for the sleep aid will go to the Green Beret Foundation. That's
awesome for the whole month of November.
Yeah, for the whole month of November. Yep. So it's.
I expect to see some emails on that. I get my daily influx of Alpha Elite Performance emails. So they got me on the list.
Well, you should get some. I was just interviewed by the GBF recently, and I think it goes out today or tomorrow. I don't know if you sign up for their emails, but they send out a lot of good emails, and I'm featured in one of them.
Nice.
And I talk a little bit about more so than just being a Green Beret and killing bad guys and shit like that. Matter of fact, I don't even think I mentioned that. It was interesting that the conversation started off like what it was like to be a Green Beret and things like that, but it really digressed into relationships and love and lives lost and transitioning, and how I handled a lot of that. But it talks. I've been married 3 times, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm still friends with my first wife. We were just young. Shit happened. Second wife, some shit went down and I bounced. But I got 2 amazing little boys out of it. But she and I are exactly where we need to be in our lives. And I kind of talk about that, with the constant deployments and being gone 9 months out of the year, and then having kids and not being there for her. And hopefully it helps. I hope Green Berets read it, because I talk about it. These guys want to jump into being a badass Green Beret, but then they want to go out and get that hot chick, and because it goes along with that tab on their shoulder and that green hat. But I've seen far more divorces and relationships end, and I'm not Dr. Ruth by any means, or some sort of
or Dr. Phil, either one.
You could be Dr. Phil, whatever it is. But man, if I could just help some of these guys out just a little bit, if they wanted to reach out and talk about that, I would do that. And that's where the article went. And it was pretty interesting that it went there. And so I'm kind of eager to see if I get a lot of bullshit from my buddies, like, you big pussy, what the fuck? You should have talked about killing bad guys and things
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I'm glad you hit on a couple things. I want to peel that back a little bit. One, I mean, I don't know if you remember, right? I'm a son of. I was born at Fort Bragg, right? So my
Yeah.
dad was 22 years Special Forces. And my mom are still kicking it today, and they're still together years and over 50 years. And from the 60s and 70s and all that time, I mean, we didn't have the connectivity we have now. Didn't have all that stuff, and it was, I think it was considered a rarity to have a couple, stay together, stay married through all that, multiple tours in
Yeah.
Nam and back before Delta came out in the late 70s, the SF was the tip of the spear for everything. They were the go-to. There was no one else, right? It was them or CIA, right? And so, there was a lot of deployments. Growing up, my dad was gone all the time and, never knew where he was and stuff, and to stick with it. And that was kind of considered a rarity. And it takes a special husband, I believe, a wife, and a bond to live through that, right? And I don't think that's changed. I wouldn't say if anything, it may have gotten harder, but I don't think it's changed much from then to now. And the fact that there's still lots of deployments, they're over and over and over, but it's, what brought those people together. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it that separation or the challenges you go through make it stronger. Maybe there's some, I know there's cases, I personally know of some where the relationship wasn't that strong, but that separation and what they had to go through brought them together, to the point that they were unbreakable. So I think that's key. And I'm it's awesome that you talked about that. And two, I want to hit on real quick is that, I wonder if you find it like I found it, and the fact that, and I've talked about this, I think, before on the show, is when I was younger, I remember watching my knowing what my dad went through and seeing what he did. And he was the toughest guy I knew, growing up. And I saw him get a little bit more emotional as I got older. And I was like, that dude's he's been 3 tours in Nam. He's been all over. He's done some kick-ass stuff. Why would he get he doesn't get emotional. My dad didn't, he barked orders at me growing up. I mean, I was raised in a very military type household. But then as I got older, and what I really believe is in reflecting is when you see the things that we've seen in combat, when you've seen the horrors of war, the loss of innocent life, children and women and just innocent people, villagers or whatever, get maimed and murdered, it kind of, in my opinion, it puts the meaning of life is that much more to a veteran that has seen the horrors of war and what bodies are ripped apart and families are destroyed. And I think it makes us more emotional when we get older. I don't know if you found yourself. I mean, I get choked up sometimes at like wussy movies that are not that bad. And I'm just like, man, I can't believe that's getting a lump in my throat.
Yeah, yeah. No, I talk about that in that in the article. Yeah, I don't really have an emotional governor now. I did some things as well, though, to heal a TBI. I had some stem cell treatments done that helped break the brain barrier with mannitol and heal lesions in the head. And I did the brain treatment center for 8 weeks and things like that. And yeah, as I get older, I find that I don't have the emotional governor that I did when I was younger, and I'm not able to suppress a lot of those emotions and feelings. So yeah, like, I talked to my ex, before I left, before I departed California, and I got emotional talking to her about her and the boys, and I think as you get older, there's that healing.
Right.
So it takes time to heal from a lot of the things that we saw and did. If I don't have any regrets, but I'm sure there are people that do have regrets, and it takes time for them to get over that and to forgive themselves if that's what they need to do. But yeah, as we get older,
I think that's what makes us human. I think that's what makes us human, right? If you didn't have it, the Army, I say the Army, but all the branches that train people in combat arms, whether it's PJs or no matter what it is, SEALs, they do a great job of teaching us to our brain to desensitize itself to what is in our DNA, which is respect human life and not take human life, right? We're able to look at somebody and not look at them as a father or son, and we look at them as a target. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have no problem. And we have crude humor, and we deal with it by having crude humor that most people in the civilian populace would be just, horrified at. Right. But we all find funny and, it just deal with it. And we're able to flip that switch. Right. It's almost like they make us kind of bipolar. We flip that switch and say, no problem. I smoked that person. I called in that mission, whatever. It doesn't bother me one bit. I can sleep well at night. But at the same time, when we come back and we get in the peaceful and we raise our family and we get around stuff and maybe we watch Old Yeller or whatever, right? And we sit there, we're just like, I think we just have a greater respect for human life, and it means that much more to us. And I think sometimes that's those suppressed emotions we've had during that time when we should have had emotion, but we were trained not to. That it's like almost it gets a chance for that pressure to release. And I could be totally off the mark, but that's the way I feel. It's almost like all that shit we suppressed when we saw bodies ripped apart from an IED or from a suicide bomber or get sniped or whatever, because we didn't have time to deal with it. We had to suppress the threat. We had to treat the wounded, evac people, do BDA, whatever it may be. Later on in life, when we're watching that movie, sometimes, man, when I'm watching a commercial, sometimes I'm like, geez, what am I getting like choked up about? It's a freaking commercial.
I'm not that bad, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, some of the commercials, it's not.
Well, unless there's dogs involved.
Yeah, it's not a Nationwide insurance. Those are just funny, but it's not Flo from Progressive. But some of them are just some of them you get kind of like, that's sad. But I was just wondering if you have seen or felt those same kind of things. It sounds like you have, and
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like I say, we've seen enough people not lives end when they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
That I think, but at the same time, if we see that threat to us, right? I think any vet has no problem flipping that switch again, right?
Yeah.
Like coming into your front yard and doing this and doing whatever.
Oh, it's like riding a bike, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bike.
It's like ding ding, right back on it. So
yeah.
But no, man, it's I'm so glad you're down there. Hopefully, when I get the traveling again, we get down there. You and I and Toby get ready to link up. It'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Let me talk about Toby real quick, and I've got the opportunity to go on a hunt with him for alligators.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, through Veterans Outdoors, and for those listeners that the hat that you're looking at there that Troy's wearing is Veteran Outdoors, and that's an awesome nonprofit that I will tell you I thoroughly enjoyed. I got to kill an alligator, hunt an alligator, and harvest it, if you will.
You get to hunt a dinosaur.
Yes. But the best part that I got out of that weekend was the fellowship that I had with a fellow Green Beret who broke my heart when I met him. Justin Minchaka had been shot in the head with a PKM and lived. And obviously he's not, you can tell that it takes him a lot to think about what he wants to say and things like that.
You know him from before? You guys were served together, or did you meet him on the hunt?
I didn't know him at all. I was just asked to go on this hunt, and the two of us were kind of the guests. But the best thing I got out of that was the fellowship with everybody that was there, and we just sat around, and they didn't really ask us too many questions. Some people asked some questions, and then they sat there and they listened, and but really it was just a bunch of guys sitting around drinking beer and having a great time. And it was such a good release, and it was a release that I didn't think that I needed or wanted. But when I left there, man, I just left with a big old smile on my face. Like, man, that was like being with the boys again. Yeah. It was like being back on that ODA or in that platoon or in that squad, and smoking and joking and just having a great time.
Whether you would have killed anything or not, it still would have been a great, right?
And I almost didn't. I there was 5 of us that killed an alligator, and I said, hey, let all these other gentlemen go, and I'll take the last one. But it came down to the wire if I was to get it or not, but I ended up getting one. And but yeah, it was a fellowship, and I made some friends, and huge fan of Veterans Outdoors. Yes. And I'm actually gonna go hunting with a couple of the guys next month in Lampasas, Texas. We're gonna go on a deer hunt, and then they're gonna have their function that they're gonna have there in Georgetown. I think November 15th or 16th, 15th. So it'll be good to see all those guys again and help raise awareness for their cause. And
yeah, we normally have the VO big fundraiser in May, and I think it is in it. We missed it this year, and it's a great time. Toby has me come down for it, and it's a phenomenal organization. I mean, we obviously VO is a big sponsor of our show, and you have no shortage of. Literally, it's like, which one of my 25 VO hats or shirts and stuff am I going to wear? And but no, it's great. He told me he was able to get you on that, and that's awesome. That what a way to welcome to Texas, huh?
I know, right? It was literally the second week that I was here.
Go gator
I'm
hunting.
telling everybody, I'm like, I'm going gator hunting. And everyone's like, what? I've lived here my whole life and I've never even seen an alligator.
Yeah.
And they live in the area. We have them in this area that I live. So
Yeah, that's that. Like I say, it's that bonding. That brotherhood of. We were just talking about this last week on the show. It doesn't matter what generation or whatever it came from. I mean, you could have been hanging out with Vietnam vets or anybody, and it's just. I've hunted with folks from that. A good friend of mine's, his dad's best friend. We were hunting. They're from Salton Sea, California, and we were hunting. Caribou in Alaska, and this guy dropped paratroopers over Normandy. He and I, old dude and I are in our 4-wheeler together, and the generations that far apart, and you could still bond, right?
Yeah.
And that's therapeutic too. I mean, we talked about it. The guys that came back in World War I and World War II rode across that pond for months on a ship, and they talked through everything, right? Us now, they rush us back, right? I was in the combat theater 24 hours ago. I was strapped and clapped, and now I'm sitting here, out processing or whatever. I'm at home in Mama. Yeah. And we don't get that, right? And that's why I think we have a lot of guys seeing issues and stuff. Those guys that rode across those ships, they talk through the good times, the bad times, and by the time they landed back on shore and they walked down the gangplank and all that kind of stuff, they had released a lot of that. So I think what VO does, and both in the hunts and the fishing trips and everything, and anytime you can get with vets like that and just sit around. Even if you're just going camping, just sitting out in the woods, I think it helps a lot. It releases those demons for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a great blessing you had there with that.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And I hope to give back, and I will give back.
Yeah.
Any way that I can. So I've got, the Green Beret Foundation that I work for with 2 different foundations altogether. But the VO, it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Toby and mine's our good friend, great Green Beret, Tim Kennedy. I've seen him at those auctions buy hunts, spend lots of money buying hunts, and he just buys them to give to vets, right? And that guy's served and done a ton, and he does it for that same thing. He'll buy a hunt, a nice gator hunt, a nice whatever hunt in New Mexico, whatever, and just gives it away and tells Toby, take a couple of vets on a trip. I mean, and that's great. That's our community looking after our community, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. Tim's good people. He does some good things. So.
He does, and he's a funny dude. He has no shame, and he's something. But no, well, that's good. That's a good plug for VO. One of our great sponsors, along with Listen 9, Kermode Outdoor Development Group, Boo Hammer, Gear for Grunts. I got my Gear for Grunt shirt on for Doug, but. With the link you have with Doug too. He lives down in Austin. He makes some great Gear for Grunts, makes some great tactical equipment, things like that. Doug and I served together in Alaska, and he's doing great things down there too, and giving back to the community. So, I get down there. Lots of good people down there, who are always asking me to move to Texas because I know a lot of folks there, but.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, need to get down there, but get out of this communistic state. So anyways, well, hey, man, I thank you so much, Travis, for coming on and filling in for Toby. And just great shooting the shit with you and talking. And just, we had to talk some politics. I mean, we're, 5 days out or whatever. And from the most important election this country's absolutely ever had. It was great just to get some different perspective. And good seeing you in Texas. And hope to stay in touch, bud.
Absolutely. Anytime. If I did better than Toby, let him know, and I'll fill in for him from now on.
It'll depend on. We got to have you run tech. If you can run tech, then you may be a leg up, because that poor cat, he has some trouble running all the tech. So, but that's all right. So it was great, dude. And he'll probably need you to fill in from here once in a while. But it's just good to chat and catch up. And thank you for giving you some of your night. Thanks for everyone watching and listening for giving some of your evening. And check out alphaeliteperformance.com. You can follow Travis on Instagram at Travis Wilson AEP, or on Twitter at Alpha Elite Army. They got some great stuff. I am a user of it. I love it. You get the detox. I wasn't sure what that was. I asked Toby. He's like, dude, get it. And I was like, what does that do? And he's like, just try it out. Get it one time. If you don't like it, do not have to buy it again. I tried it, and I'm like, I don't know what this magic stuff does, but
it rids your body of heavy metals and other poisons that you've inhaled, ingested, or rubbed in your body. And I would tell everybody that if they want to buy any of our products, use the code ELITE15, and it'll save you 15% at alphaeliteperformance.com.
There you go, right here. You heard it. ELITE15. Get 15% off. and you can't go wrong. But yeah, the detail, I don't know how it does it. I guess I knew what it does. I just don't know how it does it. I don't know where it puts that metal out of me, but you feel it. I don't know I can't explain the difference I felt when I started taking it. And I stopped when I did some traveling, and I could tell when I got back on it. So yeah, that's some wicked magic shit you got there. So
it's Green Beret shit.
It's a Green Beret shit. It is green too, by the way. Just
yeah,
you can mention it. But all right, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Travis, and we will see you all here. I will not be here next week. Toby will. I am going to be hunting next Thursday, so I'm going to be trying to kill me some big old deer down in Ohio, actually. So tune in here next. Stu and the Nunn air 8 o'clock Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern next week, and we will see all of you then. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good